Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become a better you. Dr. Tony D. Collins is here to encourage, motivate, inspire, guide you into excellence. Your success matters. Your dreams matter. Sign up right now with Shepherd One Coaching and become.
Well, good morning, everyone, on this wonderful Wednesday morning. Of course, you landed in the right place at the right time. It's time for Morning Mocha. I'm so delighted all of you have joined us this morning, and I'm really excited about today's session, and I hope you are as well. I hope you are anticipating gaining something great that you can use in your daily living. Why not take the time and send a text invitation to your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. Y'all know how we do this. Send them an invitation to join us here on this platform, and make sure that you put the Dr. Tony D. Cobbins link to this YouTube page in the invitation. We'd love to have you have others join us as well as yourselves. Share it with someone. And if you know it's been a blessing to you, if you acknowledge that, then why not share it with someone else that you love or care about? All right. Before I get into what we want to talk about this morning, I want to solicit your prayers to join us in praying for the people in Durban, South Africa. If you have not heard as of yet, the other day they suffered a very serious flood that came through and took the lives. The count is now up to 448 people. 448 people are reported dead and over 40 yet missing. And there are over 40,000 people who have been displaced from their families, from their homes rather, and have literally lost everything. The pictures that are shown across the news broadcast are very heartbreaking, disheartening to say the least. And I hope that when someone initiates some humanitarian effort to help the people there in South Africa. I hope we'll be ready to lend our assistance in whatever way that we can. I'm that type of person. My heart is just touched and overwhelmed when I see people going through those kinds of tragedies, wherever they may be, whether they're in the United States or somewhere on the other side of the globe. It doesn't matter. People are people. And I believe that we should always maintain hearts of compassion because we never know when we may go through similar incidents. We never know when it's our time to go through something like that. So certainly we want to be in prayer for those people. We want to continue to be in prayer for the people in this nation as well. Again, there's so much violence taking place. On last week, the mall shooting that took place, the assaults that are being perpetrated against children and young people nowadays, things are just totally out of control. It's ridiculous in my estimation. But I think what we're called on to do at this time is not just to pray, but to make some adjustments in how we go about our living as a whole. Man, I really pray for the day when we can start to respect one another once again, as we did in times past. Now, I'm not by any means suggesting that the times past were perfect. Because they certainly weren't. There's been a lot of hatred and prejudice and disrespect in our society for a number of decades, if you will. But it seems as though things are getting worse and worse. It used to be a time where people, if they were going to attempt to harm anyone, children wouldn't be included in that. But nowadays, people don't care. Well, there was a time when women and children were respected to where people would do all they could to protect women and children from any kind of physical harm. It was really a shame if a man would do something to harm women and children physically. And I know it still is, but it seems as though we're not as concerned about that as we used to be as a society as a whole. Maybe I should put it like this. It's becoming more commonplace, and it shouldn't. The taking of lives nowadays seem to be just another routine part of the day for some people. And I certainly don't understand it. And so I'm calling on the saints, the people of God, to include these people who are suffering at the hands of evil people and those who have been victims of natural disasters. Include them in your prayers. Lift them up in your prayers. Let us lift them up in our prayers. The scriptures declare that the prayers of the righteous avails much. Now, again, those of you that may be joining us for the very first time, let me make it perfectly clear. This is not a preaching platform. Some of you may know me as a pastor. Some of you are being introduced to me for the very first time. But let me be perfectly clear. This is not a preaching platform, but neither will I intentionally cover up or deny my faith, because I am a person of faith. I love God with all my heart. I honor Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, and I want to make that perfectly clear. But the information that I'm sharing here, the wisdom that I'm sharing here on this platform, is beneficial for whomever, whether you are of the Christian faith or of another faith. Regardless, it doesn't matter. You can take these principles and apply them to your life, and it will help your life to be the better, because you have applied these principles. These principles will help you not just in your business life, but in your personal life as well. My primary objective is simply to add value to the people who take the time and join us on this platform each and every morning, Tuesday through Friday. You get into habits and you can't, it's hard to break certain habits, but it's Tuesdays through Friday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Again, I just want to add value. I want to add value to every viewer, to every hearer. And I hope that I'm accomplishing my objectives on a daily basis. Today, I want to talk to you about trust. And let me begin once again. Y'all know I do this occasionally, and it's not to insult anyone's intelligence, but it's just for the sake of bringing clarity to the discussion. I want to define for you or give to you the academic definition of the word trust. The word trust is defined as assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. It means to place confidence in and to rely on. Let me give you that again. Assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, to place confidence in to rely on. Now, if you're anything like I am, you wrestle at times with trusting people. Plain and simple. You wrestle with who to trust and who not to trust. You wrestle with when to trust and when not to trust. You wrestle with how far to trust and what to trust people with. At least that's the way it is for me. But the reality is, none of us can ever totally escape the need to trust somebody. Anyone who says that they don't trust anybody is in denial or just straight up lying to themselves and to other people. Because everybody trusts somebody. Yeah, you have to. It's inevitable that you're going to have to at some time trust somebody. Now, your circle of trust may be very small, but you still have to trust somebody. The reality is none of us were born with an innate distrust of people. We weren't born with that. But we were conditioned not to trust people. Your distrust of people was formed as a result of your bad experiences with people. Or at least allow me to admit that my distrust with people was formed by my bad experiences with people. And I don't mind sharing that with you, because one of the things that I want you to clearly understand is that despite the fact that I've been a pastor and a minister for a number of years, for almost 40 years now, despite that fact, I'm still a person. I'm still a human being. I've had bad experiences in my life. I've had bad experiences with people in my life. I've had a number of bad experiences with people. And the reason why I can talk about the number of bad experiences that I've had with people is because of the fact I've worked with people most all of my life. That's what my life has been about. Working with people in the secular arena, as well as working with people in the faith arena or the faith community. Those bad experiences include things like disappointments. I know all of us have been disappointed by someone or another, someone close to us, someone close to you, someone that you didn't expect to disappoint you, someone that you relied heavily upon. You've been disappointed. That's one of those bad experiences. Some of us have felt the experience of being rejected. Rejection can undermine your trust in people. What about being cheated or being cheated on? That's a bad experience. And sometimes those experiences can be tough to swallow. Being cheated or being cheated on it's as though something has been snatched from you, pulled away from you, torn from you, ripped from you. And that is not a good feeling at all. How many of you have ever experienced betrayal? Someone whom you never expected to turn on you, turned on you without a rhyme or reason as far as you were concerned. And that's tough. What about abandonment? Being left by yourself, being left alone. Abandonment is tough to deal with as well. And I know I'm hitting on some very sensitive things. And some of you are sitting there going, ouch, ouch. Oh my goodness, that applies to me. Some of you have experienced abuse in your life. And all of these bad experiences, these are the kinds of things that have a tendency to create wounds that are not easily healed. Let's just be honest about that. Now, I know that many Christians would say that to remember such things is an indication of a lack of forgiveness. But that's not necessarily true. Not in all cases. Sometimes it's just a matter of extended pain, extended lingering pain or lingering hurt. It's not that you haven't forgiven, but the effects of what has been done to you can linger for extended periods of time. It's not always easy to just dismiss something out of your mind just because you say, this is what I must do. You know, let me remind you, as I reminded you of myself, I acknowledge the fact, and you should acknowledge this as well, that you are a human being. And as much as we like to embrace very positive thought and very positive words or thinking, there is still the reality of whatever situations that we're dealing with. Our humanity yet comes into play, even when we're saying all the right things. And so instead of trying to frame everything from an ultra spiritual perspective, there are times when it's necessary to just keep things real, to keep it real about what you're actually experiencing, what you're actually feeling. You know, some people never get over certain things because of the fact they never take the time to properly process things, and they tend to be dismissive instead of looking at a situation from the perspective of what it really is. It is what it is. Every thought that you have concerning something that you've experienced in the past is not necessarily evil or sinful. And that's where some of us spiritually minded people or religiously minded people we have to change our perspective and our way of thinking, because we take that kind of thinking and we become judgmental of another person while they're going through their situation, having no clue or understanding of what they're really feeling as a result of what they have experienced. Now, again, I might sound a little preachy right there, and from time to time, I'll do that. But this can apply to anyone. People who are of the faith or people who are not of the faith. This can apply to you. Sometimes if you're not empathetic, compassionate, or understanding of what another person has been going through, what they have experienced in their past, you will expect them to be dismissive about certain things simply because you've decided or concluded that that would be easy for you to do. But you'll never understand what a person feels until you've had the opportunity to actually walk in their shoes. And that's not always possible, because everyone's experiences are unique to them. And people who have gone through certain things, people who have been betrayed or abused or abandoned or rejected or disappointed or cheated on, they very well may have forgiven the person who did these things to them. They may have forgiven them, but that doesn't mean that the impact or the effect of what was done to them, it doesn't mean that it just goes away with forgiveness. Wow. Forgiveness is about how you treat other people, not necessarily about how you process what you're going through, how you deal with what you're going through. Now, you might look at one person's situation and say, well, that's nothing. It may be nothing to you because you're not the one going through it, but it could be major to that other individual. Listen, you can forgive a person and not yet leave yourself open to future injury by neither that person or anyone else. As a matter of fact, when you've been hurt, when you have been injured mentally and emotionally, by nature, we have these protective mechanisms built in us, wherein we immediately start to put up certain walls or put up certain buffers that will protect us from ever being hurt in that manner ever again. It's just a reality. And so you can't condemn a person just because they have instilled protective mechanisms to protect them from future hurt. And that's where that whole trust thing comes in. You need to be well aware of the fact that forgiving and forgetting doesn't mean forgiving and denying reality. You can remain aware without reacting adversely to certain situations. You can do it. It is possible. At any rate, bad experiences will cause you to temper your willingness to trust. You start to become very selective about who you will trust, when to trust, how far to trust, and what to trust with. Now, when you're choosing to trust people, it is imperative that you consider the many facets of trust and what's needed to be able to trust. It's really important that you consider all those things. Being willing to trust means that you must be willing to be, first of all, open with other people. You're willing to be open. Some people are very guarded with other people. Some people are guarded to the degree that they live continuously behind masks. Their entire lives are masked. And if they reveal anything, they are only going to let people see so much of who they really are. But it's difficult to trust other people while being guarded and masked at all times. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should just get all out naked with people. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you're going to navigate life pretty much smoothly and with a reasonable flow, there are going to be times when you must be willing to open up to other people. If you're going to trust, you must be willing to be honest with other people. No one likes a hypocrite. No one likes a fake or a phony. No one likes a liar. You have to be willing to be honest with other people. Your willingness to trust is at times is going to call for you to be transparent with other people. That's a part of the openness and the honesty. To be very transparent with people. Y'all see at times that I'm very transparent with you all. I feel like many of you feel as though you know me much better than you did prior to Morning Mocha, because there's been some things that I've shared with you. I trust you, my audience, and I love you enough to share certain things with you. I believe that my transparency at times serves to be a real blessing to those that are around me. Because sometimes we can make assumptions about people and we can put on airs with people that causes people to make assumptions about who we are and what we are all about. And the moment they find out that we are not, or that you are not who you portray yourself to be, then they feel as though they really can't trust you. And so you got to be willing to be transparent. And there are proper times for transparency. There are times when transparency is absolutely necessary. But another thing that you must be willing to do is to be vulnerable. Oh man, now that's frightening right there. I know there's not a person that's viewing right now who is comfortable with being vulnerable with other people. That willingness to be vulnerable with other people has to be developed. As a matter of fact, when you combine all these other things I've just mentioned concerning openness, honesty, transparency, it all tends to lead up to vulnerability. You're vulnerable because if you trust the wrong people with the wrong information, some people have a tendency to take what you've trusted them with and use it as a weapon against you. You know, again, I want to reiterate the fact that my hesitancy with trusting people nowadays is only a reflection of my bad experiences with people in the past. Now, some of you might conclude, well, that's really not fair. You have to judge people based on their individual merits. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But again, when I find myself in that type of situation, I've learned to proceed with caution. Now, that's a nugget of wisdom that all of us could put in our wisdom bag. When it comes to trusting people, proceed with caution. Be able to detect the indicators that would suggest that the person may not be trustworthy. Anthony Dangerfield, I've heard this one before. The old folks used to say it all the time. When you lie, you steal. He said, my dad used to say. A lot of dads and mothers used to say that. When you lie, you'll steal. When you steal, you definitely can't be trusted. But these things that I just mentioned are almost a must if you're going to trust people. If you're going to be willing to trust people, that willingness requires that you be strong. Wow. You definitely got to be a strong individual if you're going to be willing to trust people. Because if you are not strong in that area, you will not survive mentally or emotionally. If you're going to be willing to trust people, that trust requires that you be secure. Be secure. Be confident in who you are. Wow. Otherwise, you run the risk of being broken down. I want you to really give that some careful consideration. You've got to know who you are. You've got to be confident in who you are. You've got to know that regardless as to what people may do or whatever way that they may violate your trust, that you're strong enough to endure those violations. Another word I would use right there would be, you must be resilient. You got to be able to bounce back. Because when people violate your trust, that violation can be debilitating. It really can. It can put you in a space where it becomes hard for you to recover. Because one of the things that happens when people violate your trust is you find yourself thinking over and over and over, contemplating, how did this person do this to me? Why did this person do this to me? I trusted this person, and they violated my trust. How did I let this happen? Why didn't I see it coming? And you can spend so much time asking those questions why and contemplating those things that it'll rob you of the joy of living. It'll rob you of your sleep. It'll rob you of your peace. And so you got to be able to bounce back when those kind of things happen. I'm not saying it's always going to be easy, but you've got to develop the mental and emotional fortitude. You got to build it up to the degree that when people hurt you, when people violate your trust, you've got to be able to bounce back. Otherwise, you're really giving all of your power to them. You're submitting all of your authority to them. You're really surrendering your life to that individual because they have you stuck in a place where you really don't want to be. Got to be wise if you're going to be willing to trust people. You got to be use wisdom. You got to be wisdom. You got to use wisdom when deciding who to trust, when to trust, to what extent to trust, how far to trust, what to trust with. You got to use wisdom. And sometimes when you're exercising wisdom, that means, or that requires that you slow down, that you take the time to actually analyze certain situations, that you take the time to actually process things properly, look at the pros and the cons, try to consider any indicators from past experiences that would send up a red flag to you, warning you not to fully trust an individual. And I bring up that word fully trust because there are levels of trust. Yeah, you can trust people on certain levels. There are only so many people that you can trust with certain things. You can trust people to degrees. And you can choose not to trust them at all. Another thing I want you to think about that is the fact that if you're going to be willing to trust other people, then you yourself must be trustworthy. You can't expect people to trust you if you're not willing to trust them as well. That's one some of us probably have never thought about. Because we only give consideration to who is worthy of our trusting them. But we never think about the fact. Many of us don't think about the fact or consider whether or not people deem us worthy of them trusting us. Are you thinking or giving consideration about whether or not people deem you worthy? I want to put it out there personally. I want you to consider it personally. Are you a trustworthy person? Think about that. And then answer that question honestly. There are certain tests that you can take, that will determine whether or not you're a trustworthy person. What kind of test? When you go through an experience wherein you have to exercise integrity or demonstrate that you have integrity. And I call integrity doing what is right when no one's looking. Can people trust you to do the right thing when no one is looking? When no one is watching you? Can people trust you with information that they deem to be most confidential? Can they truly take you in their confidence without having to worry about it? If someone tells you something, do they have to worry about hearing it on the street or within your circles at a later time? Okay, plain and simple. Are you one who loves to spread gossip? When a person says to you, I'm sharing this and I want this to be just between you and me, does it stay that way? Or are you like a broken refrigerator and you can't keep anything? You ask yourself those questions and be honest with yourself. Because some of you would have to admit it. When somebody tells me something, man, I got to go tell somebody else, especially if it's good, juicy gossip. I can't hold it for nothing. Some people say, if you want to keep a secret, don't tell me. Are you that person? Do you have to admit that that's the case with you? So think about it. If you want people to trust you, you must strive to be trustworthy yourself. Now here's the reality. Trust can be easily broken. Trust can be manipulated. People can manipulate you with that trust thing. Sometimes when people question you and say, oh, what, you don't trust me? Sometimes you need to be straight up honest with them and say, no. Sometimes you need to just ask people the hard question. Well, tell me what you do that should make me want to trust you. Let's talk about your track record, if you will. I know that'll make people uncomfortable. Some people will get angry. Well, if they get angry about those kind of challenges, then that's likely an indication that they can't be trusted. But if they have a good track record, that kind of challenge wouldn't bother them any at all. They'll be bold in declaring to you, I have a good track record when it comes to my trustworthiness. Trust can certainly be violated. I can't tell you the number of ways that trust can be violated. But here's something that I really want you to grab a hold to and understand and put this in your wisdom pack. And that is, people are not entitled to your trust, and you're not entitled to theirs. Trust is a gift that must be earned. It is earned over time. It is affirmed by the test of time. Trust is sustained through trying times. If you really want to know whether or not you can truly trust an individual, go through something and see how they react. See what's their response to what you're going through. You discover who your real friends are when you're going through something. You discover who can truly be trusted when you're going through some difficult times. Now, I'm not suggesting that they have to like everything that you do or totally agree with you. But if they're trustworthy, they won't bail out on you. And neither will they backstab you. They won't talk about you behind your back. If they are trustworthy friends, if they're trustworthy family members. Difficult times. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's when the real deal shows up. Now, just like trust can be given, trust can be rescinded. Trust can be withdrawn. It can be, and it often is. But here's what I want you to understand as well. The rescinding of trust should never equate to hatred. You don't have to hate a person simply because you can no longer trust them. You just have to deal with them differently. You just have to make adjustments to how you engage that individual. You have to scale back on your trust. That's all. That's all. You don't have to start hating them, because sometimes when trust is violated, then that spirit of hate rises up in a person, and that hatred can be more self-destructive than the violation of trust. You can do more damage to yourself by hating another individual than they can by violating your trust, than they can do to you, rather, by violating your trust. That's the truth. That spirit of hatred is a destructive spirit. It is a self-destructive spirit. And you don't want that. You absolutely don't. So whenever you find yourself in a situation where someone has violated your trust, don't allow it to evolve into hatred. But learn a lesson from what that individual has done to you. And just make a note of the fact that although you may love them, you can't trust them to deal with the type of situation that created the violation. You can't trust them on that level. You can't trust them to that degree. Now, there are some mitigating circumstances, and I don't have time to get into all of those things right now. But there are occasions when there must be forgiveness, there must be enduring love, but then there must be a willingness to trust again. And that willingness to trust again can be meted out in increments, a little bit at a time. See, here's the thing. It takes a lifetime to build trust, and it only takes a moment to totally destroy it. But if a person is really remorseful, really repentant, if they truly are, trust can be earned all over again. It can be reestablished. It can be rebuilt, depending on the individual's commitment to rebuilding their trust with an individual. It happens all the time. The reality is, trust is a continuous exercise of trial and error. There's some people that you're going to trust that you will find that you should have never trusted. But on the flip side, there are some people who you will not trust that you will eventually come to regret not trusting those people. It's bound to happen. It's a part of life. None of us can be 100% certain about whether or not it's a good thing to trust certain people. Doesn't matter who they are. Some of the people that you may fall in love with probably should never be trusted. And sometimes people find that out after it's too late. I mean, but none of us have a crystal ball where we can look into the crystal ball and see the future and know what's going to happen in the future. Only thing we can do is be prayerful and allow the Holy Spirit to guide us in certain situations like that. That's a little preach thrown in there, okay? That's for the believers. Those who are of the Christian faith. Allow the Holy Spirit to guide you in those things. Now, don't beat yourself down if you wind up trusting someone you should have never trusted. It happens to everyone. I can't tell you the numbers of times that it has happened to me. One of the most severe pains of pastoring is trusting people and having people to violate your trust, to have them to turn on you and make a public spectacle of you. And by reason of ethics and morals, you as a pastor can't retaliate, or you shouldn't retaliate publicly. And if you do, it's not going to bode well for you as a pastor. It just won't. Because people have a tendency to believe the people in the pew before they believe the person in the pulpit. Let that sink in. That's the truth. I can't tell you the number of people who have violated my trust. And one of the reasons why people believe those in the pew, especially those who appear to work closely with the pastor, is because they come to the erroneous conclusion that since they work so closely with the pastor, or that's the appearance anyway, that they work so closely with the pastor, then what they must be saying about the pastor must be true. It's got to be true. If anybody knows, they know. And to hear any kind of rebuttal from the pastor, the conclusion is, oh, he's just trying to protect himself. I know, because they say it. Now, if you were to have things like that happen to you time after time after time after time, then wouldn't you at times start to kind of protect yourself with certain buffers or protective mechanisms that will keep you from experiencing that hurt and pain all over again? Now, I know some of you might be saying, well, if it's happening to you that many times, then you must be the common denominator. It must be you. Okay. That's fine if you want to use that argument, but you think about this. Over my 30 years of pastoring, I've literally had the opportunity to pastor thousands of people. I mean, they may not have all been at Canaan all at the same time, but thousands, literally thousands, have come through Canaan. And I can honestly say that I've at least had to work with hundreds of quote unquote leaders. And don't you know, when you get in organizations like that, people come in with personal agendas. And if they feel as though they're not having the type of influence they want with that pastor, they'll get upset with that pastor, turn on that pastor, and begin to spread false things about that pastor. It doesn't just happen to me. It hasn't just happened to me. It has happened to pastors all over the world throughout the ages. It's a reality. And that's the reason why I've developed this sense of exercising greater wisdom when it comes to trusting people. Now, I'm not that person that would dare just immediately think that person can't be trusted unless that person gives me immediate indications that such is the case. You know, I'm not just prone not to trust people, but I can say I've become selective with who I trust and at what levels I trust. It's part of life. Got it? Now, some of you could use some one-on-one assistance working through these kinds of issues. If that's the case, I want you to know that Shepherd One Coaching is here for you. It's here. Just go to my website, theshepherd1.com, spell it all out, theshepherd1.com, and you can inquire there. If you feel like you're in need of one-on-one coaching, I'm your man. I'm available. At least let's talk about it. Let's explore it. Let's see what I can do to help you to work through some things, to get you from being unstuck in life, to move you to your next level in life, to help you and to push you into achieving your dreams and your desires. All right. I guarantee you, if you will inquire and you engage our services, it will be a life-changing experience for you. All you have to do, go to the website, click and inquire, and let's get you started down the road to your ultimate destiny. Well, it's been a pleasure and a joy sharing with you today. I hope you've been tremendously blessed by what's been shared. And if you have, don't forget to share it with someone else. I look forward to being with you on tomorrow morning at the same place, same time. But until then, my desire is that you have a blessed, wonderful, and even prosperous rest of your day. God bless.